why do you believe that a bailout or any kind of aid for oil and gas is simply the wrong move for taxpayers right now?
Look, a lot of companies in the oil patch were in big trouble when oil was at $50 a barrel. So with oil much lower than that, obviously, they're just in even bigger trouble. And so throwing money at the oil patch, providing a bailout, will essentially keep a bunch of companies on life support. And like with, an agricultural program previously, once you put zombie companies on life support, it's really hard to get them off because they fail, and that's what you were trying to avoid in the first place. So I think we're just going to create a whole bunch of zombie companies, and we'll be sort of stuck on the hook, keeping them on life support for the foreseeable future. And given limited resources and a huge demand for all of them, I think that, that's not a great allocation of money. We should help all of the employees who will end up being laid off in the oil patch, just as we should help out all unemployed people in this crisis. But I don't think we should bail out the owners of these energy companies.
Yeah, it's going to help the people because ultimately companies are just groups of people. But it's a story that we have talked about on this network for years now. The debt threat for oil and gas. You're exactly right. $242 billion coming due over the next 5 years, according to Moody's. Most of that is coming due in 2022. But listen, Megan, if they can't sort of get their books in order when the fall reevaluation season for banks comes around, we could see a huge number of bankruptcies in the fall. But here's, I guess, the double-edged sword, is it not? I understand what you're saying. Many no doubt agree. The problem is oil and gas is such a huge part of our macro economy now that if it goes down, it could just exacerbate the economic pain we're already in, just like in 2016.
So it could do, and we did see this in 2015, 2016. It caused a manufacturing recession. Some would say it kind of brought Trump into office, but I think that the oil patch has lots of opportunities for consolidation and for productivity gains. It's not like the entire industry would go under. I think it would just become much more efficient. And I don't think that's a bad thing. You're right, we would have lots of people unemployed, but we have lots of people unemployed across the economy anyhow. And as I said before, we should support those people, there's no doubt. But why bail out, equity holders of oil companies? I don't think that makes any sense. A lot of oil companies were already in trouble before any of this started.
Yeah, and later on today, and by the way, on CNBC, I'm going to show just the decline already that is taking place in the oil and gas industry, Megan. And a lot of people out there saying, good, fossil fuels are over anyway, just let them go. I'm not sure they realize, though, the size and scope of this industry. By some 10 million people directly and indirectly affected by it. I hear you on helping out the people. Is there some kind of happy medium here that can keep things going while we're dealing with something that nobody could have predicted?
I mean, if there were a way of evaluating which companies were really thriving beforehand, then, it's okay to bail them out, just as we're bailing out lots of small and medium-sized businesses that were healthy beforehand. So the same idea of sort of providing a couple months of bridge funding, I think that would be fine. But providing a wholesale bailout across the board is just a big mistake. I mean, tons of these companies had absolutely no free cash flow ever. As you mentioned, debt levels were eye-watering in a lot of cases. So, I think giving them a bridge loan is okay, but just bailing out stockholders, I just don't think that's the best allocation of limited resources.